35 years ago, 99.9% of the things that came in my door were absolutely devout restorations. These days, 99% of the work that we're doing is actually modernizing old vehicles to make them usable on today's highways. And honestly, as much as I like restored cars, these ones are far more sensible. They're certainly a lot easier for people to use, and they're a lot safer. This Firebird is a wonderful example of a fairly high-end resto mod. I mean, it'll have the skin of a Firebird, but it's all modern underpinnings and modern efficiencies.
We won't be using this water pump.
So it's going to get fuel economy, it's not going to pollute as much, it's going to be reliable, it just makes sense for the owner.
Right now I'm pulling the radiator out of the 67 Firebird just to make it easier to install the front drive pulley system on the LS engine that we stuffed in there.
In 1967, GM came out with the Firebird, and they were GM's answer to competing with the Mustang. You know, this is pony car era, so this was their pony car. This 67 Firebird convertible, we are taking it to the next level. We're putting an LS motor in it.
Coming in?
Yep, coming in.
We are resto modding it so that it can drive on today's roads with today's traffic. Upgrading brakes, transmission, motor.
Yeah, there we go.
Going a little overboard on the motor, but hey, that's what it's all about.
Just being careful not to over-torque anything. Well, we're gonna put a modern Serpentine kit on this. This is a pretty high-end kit. There's no screwing around here. Well, it's a lot easier to start with a kit rather than trying to source all the parts, and sometimes you get a part that fits on the motor, but it doesn't fit with another component. So in this, you get all the pieces all in one uniform kit. This is some nice stuff. This is the crank pulley. This is the main pulley that's gonna move all of the components that I'll be attaching to the front of the engine. This is the alternator. Here's a little fan, it's sort of nice. Keep it cool. All right, so this guy mounts to the main bracket. Look how nicely that fits together. All these machined parts. It's beautiful. All right, one piece at a time. This looks like it's gonna line up nicely with that one. There you go. Okay, a couple more components. This is going a little too quick. I think I better slow down.
I give it the once over before we go on the road. I want to make sure that the tires are tight and they're not going to fly off the car.
Well, we get a lot of British cars through, and more than once we've had them where somebody's been working on them themselves and found that it was over their head. Some of these little cars, you know, have their little idiosyncrasies. This one really, really needed to be gone over. I mean, we found so many things loose and falling off and not tightened down and put together. So it's like somebody started putting it together. I went, ooh, I'll come back to that. Well, never did.
Check the oil, check the lights. Make sure it's basically set. It's going to be okay to go on a road test. Perfect.
We had to rebuild the fuel pump, and we had to redo the carburetors on it, and we've had, you know, people working on some of the interior stuff, putting a new roof on it.
One thing that a lot of people don't know about the 50s and 60s British sports cars is they were never intended for use in Britain. You know, after the Second World War, Britain was in a shambles. People were way too busy trying to rebuild their homes to think about buying a brand new car. So the industry needed something, and what they needed was cars that could be sold into North America. It was a tough market because British sports cars were made for British roads, not big, long American stretches, so they had a lot of problems. The TR6 was a bigger, more powerful car, more comfortable, and it was reliable. One thing Americans demanded was a reliable car.
Yep. Well, it looks like we're ready to go.
This beautiful 53 Packard Caribbean has just come in. Before the Second World War, Packard was one of the great marques. In my opinion, 1920s and 30s Packards were better than just about any of the Rolls-Royces made. After the war, they sort of lost their momentum. They were still grand cars, but every year they became a little less reliable mechanically. And in the end, they were purchased by Studebaker, and Studebaker collapsed just a couple of years after that purchase. So sort of the end of a very significant era in American manufacturing. So it's really nice to have one come in the door. This Packard had been restored, but there's quite a few niggles left to sort out. One of them is the steering wheel. Where the seat is positioned and against the steering wheel, there's just not enough room for the driver to sit comfortably, so we're gonna remedy that.
We have the steering wheel being painted. It is going back to an ivory color.
So this is like a wax and grease remover, so it takes off any greasy fingerprints and stuff like that. So I just spray that stuff on, and you just gotta wipe it off, because the paint will not stick. You'll get like fish eyes. So this piece is gonna go like a navy blue, and that's gonna be an ivory steering wheel.
Barry's gone through the colors. He's matched up what we hope to be a perfect match.
Yeah, so the seats are like an ivory color, and there's knobs on the signal light selector and the gear shift that are an ivory color. So I matched the color of the steering wheel to that. Well, you got to make sure you get all your toners exactly what it says on the computer, or else the color will be like off just a touch, and it makes a big difference if you're trying to match. We want to make it look like it was built for the car and get as like the original as we can. Like the steering wheel's right in front of you, so it's got to be a good color match for sure. The center piece where the horn is had to match to the dash color, so it's like a dark blue. I'm sure you'll be happy with it. It looks better than the one we took out of there, so.
I've run into the first issue here. The back of the compressor is hitting the water pump.
So you don't need this at all. You want to make absolutely sure before you cut something off that there's no other reason to have it there.
Why is it working?
Well, I thought I might have a little bit of fun with Brad. Let's see if I can get him to lose his mind or not.
Something's fishy here.
Air conditioner next.
We have air conditioning going into this, so there's another thing that is going to add creature comfort to it.
It's a little bit snug going in. I don't like how it's making contact at the back. Well, I've run into the first issue here with this kit. The back of the compressor is hitting the water pump. So it's not allowing it to sit perfectly in line. You can just see it back there.
You know, every now and then when I'm walking to the shop, I sort of notice what's going on. You know, and it's nice to be able to sort of jump in and offer some solutions.
But this is where it's hitting the water pump. This little boss, which I imagine would be for a factory air conditioner pump. This kit doesn't use it. It just bolts directly to this.
So you don't need this at all.
No, I think I'll just remove it.
Well, you might be able to pull it off.
Sometimes the first thing that dawns on you to fix a problem and you act on it without thinking it through, 10 minutes later, you start to regret the fact you did it because the hole that you just eliminated, you're now gonna need.
So you want that to seat. Oh, I see.
So you wanna make absolutely sure before you cut something off that there's no other reason to have it there.
You don't need that boss.
I mean, I know it's manufactured for probably two or three different systems.
And it's got a boss at the top that's also extraneous. I mean, that can stay there, but that one, I think, just even if it's cut in half.
With a lot of aftermarket parts, this is the case a lot of the times. They're made for more than one application, so it's not quite as easy just slapping things together as people seem to think it is.
And I'd probably just freaking go right up against that land and go, make that noise while you're doing it. That's professional. Take this piece out, and it'll bolt right on.
That's what you need. You need to think outside the box.
We've made a decision.
Back to solution mark 1.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
So it's going to fit one way or the other. And that's what we have to do is just do a little modification, make things fit, and everything works out.
I think I'll just break the rest off. I'm getting a little close to other components. Just tidy that up a little bit. And it'll look like we were never in there. back in business. I cut the perfect amount off of the water pump bracket. Everything fits perfectly. Okay.
Get your door. So the Packard's really coming together now. It's time to get the steering wheel in and move on. That is beautiful. Yeah, that looks great.
Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't look out of place there one bit. You got the paint match really good. And Tala made you up the stainless pieces for it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a nice job. I hope he's got power steering.
It's a Packard. Of course it's got power steering and power brakes.
Now this is the fun part.
I'm gonna start feeding
Yeah.
it. I'm trying to get pull it nice and gently through the end. Almost there.
Just over a foot to go. Okay, you're there.
I got it. Ta-da!
Not even greasy. All right, so we got the wire fished in here now. So this guy is insulated on the back side, so when it touches the metal, it doesn't ground out. Then that will touch this metal, and then when you go to push the horn button, it grounds it out and makes the horn go off.
That's the theory.
Horns are my specialty. I'm all happy when the horn works. I love when these old cars, some of them have super loud horns or Aluga horns or whatever, so it's always one of the things I like to see is the horn work.
Yeah.
See, it works great.
Hang on. Don't do it.
I won't do it.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
You wanna try it?
Sure.
Plug it in for a sec, see if it goes. I think it's gonna go off.
Well, I thought I might have a little bit of fun with Brad while he was putting the horn button on, see if I could get his head scratching a bit.
It's taken him a long time to get it plugged in.
What's 70-year-old wire?
You know, I had my little power probe and was able to, you know, add horn when we wanted it and no horn when we didn't want it.
Try it?
Plugged?
Yeah.
Why is it working?
Just playing a little bit with him, see if I could get him to, you know, lose his mind or not. I think I had him the whole time. It worked at first.
We gotta look at this other horn ring, I guess. Something's fishy here. All right, well, I think our only other solution is we're gonna have to take some material off there.
When they were gonna take the wheel off and grind it down, I couldn't hold my smile anymore.
Okay.
Did you plug it in and it stays on now?
No.
You were grounding it out? Leaving the wire fucking undone on me. My revenge, it will happen. All right, so it works. Customer gonna love it.
Do you want me to go under?
I love getting crushed.
Oh, got it. It's going well. Just a little heavy.
Do you want me to go under?
Yeah, it's up to you.
So the 53 Packard fuel gauge isn't working, so Jessica's gonna drop the tank out, replace it with a Repro fuel gauge unit, and we'll get it working for him.
I can go under.
Yeah, you want to be crushed by the fuel tank?
I love getting crushed.
The real challenge there is dropping the gas tank out of the vehicle because they're not made of plastic like they are nowadays. So this is just solid metal. Probably weighs just over 50 pounds. So they're quite heavy. There we go. I brought in Tommy to act as my muscle to help me lower the gas tank and put it back inside. It's definitely a little nerve-wracking. The last thing you want to do is scratch any of the new components that have been put on previously. So you got to be very, very careful. Oh, got it.
And you just drop it like that and slide it up.
Perfect. Beauty. Thank you for the help, bud.
No problem.
He didn't have a fuel level, so he couldn't tell exactly what the tank was sitting at. But this also acts as the sending unit, so it picks up the fuel and sends it out. So we're just gonna change that for him. Wasn't too bad at all. When we drop the gas tank, the first thing we're looking for is the condition of the top of the tank to see if there's any rust buildup, any broken pieces or anything like that. but when we dropped this one, it turned out to be okay. So I just cleaned it up, threw the new sending unit in, and we'll see if it works. And that's pretty much it. Now I just gotta throw the tank back into the vehicle, which is the other fun part.
Ready to put it back in?
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
we thought that was the hard part. We gotta go your way just a bit. It's going well, just a little heavy. Whoop. Oh, that tasted lovely. If I push up on this, you able to rotate it? Ah, beautiful.
All right, you can throw the rest together.
Thank you very much, sir.
The gauge looks like it's working good. Now we just have little tune-up items to do on it and a couple seals, and we'll get it back to him for some fall cruising.
And this is called a Serpentine. I think this belt's way too long. Which way does this thing go?
Okay, it feels pretty good right now. Just boot it. Got a little bit of a noise we gotta deal with when we get back. It sounds like a rattling, like a.
So now that all the pulleys are on and brackets, I can route the belt. And this is called a Serpentine belt. And I think maybe because it's like a snake, it's like a serpent snakes through there. Which way does this thing go? So many options. I think this belt's way too long. If it's that long, maybe I can go this way. That doesn't seem right either. Okay, where'd that idler pulley go? I forgot a piece. Okay, done. All right, pulley kit is on, belt's on. Now for the shiny stuff. I've got some decorative trim pieces that go on to cover all the little fasteners and sort of like the little jewelry on each little component. It's fancy. This one has 4 holes. Which one has 4? Typically at work, I'm the fabricator, so I'll make parts, but it's nice to work on something where all the bolt holes line up. That looks all right, right?
Talon is a fabricator, but there's nobody here who just sticks within a single discipline. Restoration of cars is just not that kind of gig. You've got to be multi-talented. You've got to be able to do this, that, and the other thing, and step in for other people sometimes.
Well, that's pretty fancy. A little fancy for my taste. There's other guys on payroll to do mechanical stuff, but I like to stay busy. I can mechanic too. Okay, so that's the last of the covers. So that's the completed kit installed in the engine. The pulley kit fits great on the front of the engine.
You know, Talon is a natural talent. I mean, when he puts his mind to something, he gets it done. And I mean, this may not be fabrication, but there's fabrication involved, and he understands the process.
Now, I'm curious to see if my air intake fits still. I built this air intake myself. And I made that to fit around this kit. You're working with limited real estate in the engine compartment, so I got to use every inch wisely. Look at that. Absolutely 0 clearance issues. We gotta like that. That's that. Lunchtime.
Not a bad day for a road test. It's beautiful out here. Got the top down. Little wind in my hair. Better than being in the shop working, that's for sure. Just boot it. Yeah, so that thing seems to be running okay right now. Brakes work good, steering feels good. Acceleration feels good. We got the temperature's okay, the oil pressure's okay. Looks good. Yeah, it seems good. Just that noise we gotta deal with. It sounds like a rattling, like a type noise, and it's proportionate with speed.
And the reason we do our road tests and the reason we do our final inspection is to find out any little thing that might bother the customer. So when Ron went out, he found that he had a noise in the front end.
looking for a problem. We had a noise. The sound is similar to like a playing card and bicycle spoke. The faster you went, the louder and more faster the noise, like noise. Well, it might be that this flex line here, this braided steel flex line, might have been touching the inside of the wheel here. That'll give me a noise, sort of a noise. So once I get this back together and the wheel back on the car, I will be able to see what's going on.
It was something that should have probably been tightened up years ago. I mean, this car hasn't been on the road in years. And found out that there was something else still loose under there, and we've gone through every nut and bolt on it, and except for this area, because, well, it looked like it was all together.
So we're just gonna go to see if I fix that noise. A little ride around the back will tell me. It's good now. We're on that line. I thought maybe that flex line was the problem, but it's nowhere near the tire. So must have been that bolts that weren't torqued properly on that hub that were just a little bit loose and causing a little bit of noise.
So he's been able to take it apart, repair it, fix it, and now it's ready to go home.